Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. If you always watch our channel, you may know that the news of the US ban on Chinese semiconductor. American technology giant Qualcomm has encountered some troubles recently. As a technology company that focuses on consumer electronics chip products, along with the downturn in the consumer electronics market, since last year, large customers have successively cut orders one after another, resulting in the current dismal performance of Qualcomm. Also deeply shocked. In order to restore the current decline and increase investors' confidence in holding shares, Qualcomm regards Huawei as a life-saving straw and stated that it will continue to supply Huawei. After all, in the face of a bleak market environment, Qualcomm has completely betrayed the United States if it wants the company to continue to operate decently, no matter what the ban is. For well-known reasons, the United States has formulated a series of so-called chip rules for Chinese high-tech companies such as Huawei, listing many types of products that cannot be supplied, such as 5G chips. Of course, American companies cannot be allowed to export any products to China. Although Huawei's technological progress must be restricted, the money that should be earned must still be earned. Therefore, outside the rules, 4G, which is relatively less important and less technologically content semiconductor products such as chips, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth chips, and flash memory are still allowed to be supplied to China. Although Huawei can't get 5G chips and can only release 4G mobile phones, every time Huawei releases a new phone, it is a mess, and the market appeal is still very strong. Relying on Huawei's 4G chip orders, although Qualcomm will not make a lot of money, at least Huawei has a market of nearly $8 billion, and there is still no big problem in handing over a decent financial report. The market is going down, and Qualcomm's market performance is under great pressure. For the time being, Qualcomm's supply license to Huawei can still last for several years, but it is hard to say when the Biden administration will take further measures against Huawei. For Qualcomm, facing the depressed market conditions, every customer is very important, let alone this customer is Huawei. It is reported that Huawei's latest flagship mobile phone, P60 Series, will be released soon, and it is currently rushing to prepare materials for mass production. Naturally, chip procurement is also in full swing. According to relevant sources, this latest mobile phone is equipped with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip. Of course, it can only be a 4G version. Although there is no 5G support, considering that the current market does not have a 5G electronic product with sufficient performance to stand out, and Huawei optimizes the communication algorithm program so that 4G mobile phones can also achieve satisfactory network speed. Coupled with Huawei's strong market appeal in China, as well as its unique innovations in screen display, application ecology and other fields, the outside world is generally optimistic about the market prospects of this new flagship. Not surprisingly, this Huawei P60 is likely to drive this year's flagship market. The consumption boom of the domestic high-end smartphone consumer market in half a year. For Qualcomm, in the first quarter of this year, its reported revenue was $9.463 billion, a year-on-year decrease of 12%, and its net profit was $2.235 billion, a year-on-year decrease of 34%. In addition, due to changes in market conditions, consumers are not cold with high-end mobile phones recently, and Qualcomm's market share has also shrunk, gradually being eroded by competitors represented by Samsung and MediaTek. In order to make the financial report look better, Qualcomm had hoped that China-made mobile phones represented by Huawei could help it reverse its decline after the release of new phones this year. However, as rumored by the outside world, Biden will further increase the supply to Huawei. This is absolutely unacceptable to Qualcomm under heavy pressure. Apple's self-developed baseband chip further lost Qualcomm's major customers. For a long time, in the field of communication baseband chips, Apple has been held hostage by Qualcomm, and has to spend a huge amount of money to purchase from Qualcomm every year. Apple, which is famously strict with its supply chain, dare not speak out. For this reason, Apple has long started to develop its own communication baseband chips, but the design of 5G baseband chips is still relatively difficult. Apple has been busy for several years, and last year it had to announce that Apple's self-developed 5G chips ended in failure. But as one of the world's top technology companies, Apple does not want to be controlled by others in the 5G baseband chip. Although it failed, Apple soon made a comeback. It is reported that Apple's 5G baseband chip is currently progressing smoothly. According to external estimates, with Apple's strong financial resources and scientific research technology reserves, it should not be a big problem to use self-developed 5G baseband chips in 2024. For Qualcomm, once Apple replaces the self-developed 5G baseband chip on a large scale, it will be a huge disaster. You must know that Qualcomm, as the world's largest supplier of baseband chips, can occupy 60% of the market share, and Apple has contributed a lot. Once Apple's high sales orders are lost, not only will Qualcomm's market sales profits be halved, but it will also lose its leading position in the industry for many years to MediaTek. Therefore, in view of the reality that Apple's orders will be lost sooner or later, whether Qualcomm can maintain its cooperation with Huawei is particularly important. At present, in the high-end mobile phone market, only Huawei can compete with Apple. Even last year's 4G version of Mate 50 can still compete head-on with Apple's iPhone 14 series in the market. Although other mobile phone manufacturers also purchase Qualcomm chips, in terms of market influence, there is still a big gap compared with Huawei. Maintaining cooperation with Huawei is a good move for Qualcomm. Many American companies have no choice but to lay off employees, and Qualcomm looks forward to maintaining cooperation with Huawei. At present, layoffs are sweeping many high-tech companies in the United States, and Qualcomm is no exception. A few days ago, Qualcomm has laid off 79 employees in San Diego, covering various jobs. For a long time, Qualcomm has been calculating every human resource expenditure in order to maintain a small and capable global R&D and sales team. Moreover, technology-intensive companies like Qualcomm generally do not lay off employees on a large scale, because layoffs mean the loss of talents and even the leakage of technology. However, Qualcomm's layoffs also reflect the current difficult situation from the side. Although Qualcomm can lay off dozens or even hundreds of employees in the short term, laying off employees and reducing costs will not benefit Qualcomm's long-term development. In order to remain invincible in the field of high-tech chips, in addition to leading scientific research strength, grasping high-quality customers is also the top priority. The strength of Qualcomm is beyond doubt. In terms of customers, if you blindly cling to the Biden administration, unable to retain Huawei, a high-quality customer, Qualcomm's layoffs may continue.